10 foolish ways that were once used to achieve immortality. 1. Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified China in 221 BC, was one of the most influential rulers in human history. He successfully united 7 warring kingdoms, built the Great Wall to protect the northern territory, unified currency, writing systems, and laws throughout his domain. He also ordered the creation of the famous Terracotta Army as his tomb guardians. From his 30s, Qin Shi Huang lived in great fear of death. He employed hundreds of Taoist alchemists to create an elixir of immortality. The main potion he consumed was pills containing pure mercury and cinnabar. According to historian Sima Qian in the Shiji records, the emperor drank these pills every day without stopping. The more he drank, the worse his physical condition became. Teeth fell out, hands trembled violently, skin turned red, and his behavior became extremely paranoid. He even sent a large expedition to the Eastern Sea to find the island of immortal gods. In 210 BC, at age 49, Qin Shi Huang died from chronic mercury poisoning. His body was buried in a giant tomb filled with artificial rivers of mercury. Until now, the tomb remains too toxic to be fully excavated. Modern scientific studies prove that mercury causes permanent damage to the brain, kidneys, and central nervous system. 2. Tang Dynasty emperors. During the Tang Dynasty lasting from 618 to 907 AD, the obsession with elixirs of immortality spread widely among the imperial court. At least 6 Tang emperors drank alchemical pills made from cinnabar, gold powder, lead, arsenic, and mercury. Taoist alchemists convinced the emperors that gold which never rusts could make the human body also unable to die. According to official Tang Dynasty history records, these emperors drank the pills regularly every day. Symptoms included severe hallucinations, internal organ damage, tooth loss, and extremely paranoid behavior. Several emperors died at relatively young ages, despite having the best access to medicine at that time. This practice of drinking alchemical pills continued for hundreds of years despite much evidence that the potions were dangerous and deadly. Li Shijin, in his Compendium of Materia Medica in 1578, strongly condemned the alchemists who continued promoting these deadly potions. As a result, the Tang dynasty lost several important and influential leaders due to this practice. Many historical records show that alchemists always reasoned that the pills consumed were imperfect, or the emperor drank too many. This practice reflects how strong the ruler's desire was to achieve physical immortality. 3. Diane de Poitiers. Diane de Poitiers was the secret lover of King Henry II of France in the 16th century. She was known as one of the most beautiful women in the French court. Even in her 40s, her appearance still looked like a woman in her 20s. Her secret was a gold elixir made by court alchemists. This potion was a mixture of gold chloride and ether that she drank every day. She strongly believed that pure gold could stop the aging process and maintain beauty forever. Modern scientific studies conducted on her preserved hair show very high levels of gold in her body. Although her skin looked young for her age, her overall health condition continued to decline. At age 66, Diane de Poitiers died with a body severely damaged by chronic poisoning from the potion she consumed. After King Henry II died, she was expelled from court and lost all her influence. Her story became an example of how the pursuit of eternal beauty among 16th century European nobility was often done through dangerous alchemical potions. Many other nobles at that time also tried similar potions with equally tragic results. 4. Pope Innocent VII. In 1492, Pope Innocent VII, aged 60, was dying in the Vatican. He suffered several strokes that made his body very weak. His personal doctor proposed a procedure of fresh blood transfusion from 3 healthy young boys. Medical science was still very primitive and did not yet understand blood types or the immune system. The procedure was performed with silver pipes connecting the boys' veins directly to the Pope's veins. Blood flowed in large quantities in the Pope's bedroom, with cardinals and court members present. According to Secretary Giovanni Burchard's records in the Diarium book, this process took place in rough and high-risk conditions. The results were very bad. Pope Innocent VIII died shortly after the procedure began. The 3 boys who were donors also lost their lives due to losing too much blood. This case is recorded as one of the earliest attempts at blood transfusion in European medical history. This event occurred in the midst of a time when the Catholic Church faced many internal challenges. This procedure later became an important lesson in the development of blood transfusion science, although at that time it completely failed and caused the death of all parties involved. 5. Alexander Bogdanov. Alexander Bogdanov was a doctor-philosopher and Russian Bolshevik figure born in 1873. He developed a theory that regularly transfusing blood from young people could renew body cells and achieve immortality. Bogdanov established the first blood transfusion institute in the Soviet Union in 1926. He conducted blood transfusion experiments on himself, his wife, and several colleagues. He exchanged blood dozens of times with others. In 1928, Bogdanov transfused blood from a student who turned out to have tuberculosis and malaria. The transfusion process was carried out without adequate compatibility testing. Several hours after the transfusion, both experienced severe reactions. The student survived. But Alexander Bogdanov died 2 weeks later due to kidney failure complications and blood poisoning. Before dying, he had time to document his own medical experiences. His work and experiments influenced the development of blood transfusion science in the Soviet Union for several decades. His theory reflected the scientific and utopian spirit of the early Soviet era. The institute he established continued to operate and became an important blood transfusion research center in that country. 6. Sokushimbutsu monks. In Japan from the 11th to the 19th century, some Buddhist monks of the Shingon sect practiced Sokushinbutsu. This process aimed to transform their bodies into preserved mummies while still alive to become eternal living Buddhas. The first stage was a strict diet for several years, eating only pine nuts, tree bark, roots, and seeds. They also drank poisonous tree sap potions to reduce body fat and prevent decomposition. After this stage was complete, the monk entered a stone cave or narrow wooden coffin, sat in the lotus position, and began meditation while drinking the final poisonous tea. They were given bells to signal that they were still alive. If the bell stopped ringing, the cave was permanently sealed. Only about 24 monks successfully became perfect mummies that remain intact to this day. Most who tried failed and their bodies rotted inside the caves. This practice was most commonly done in the Yamagata region, especially at temples like Dainichibo. The Sokushinbutsu process reflects Buddhist beliefs about releasing worldly desires through extreme physical sacrifice. Some Sokushinbutsu mummies can still be seen at Japanese temples until now. 7. Ponce de Leon. Juan Ponce de Leon was a famous Spanish explorer in the 16th century. He heard legends from Native American tribes about the existence of a fountain of youth in what is now called Florida. According to the legend, anyone who bathed or drank water from that source would become young forever. Ponce de Leon conducted several major expeditions to find the magical water source. He explored Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, and the east coast of Florida in detail. His expeditions involved hundreds of people and several ships. During the search, he faced many natural difficulties, bad weather, and conflicts with local tribes. In 1521, during his second expedition to Florida, he was wounded by a poisoned arrow from natives. The wound caused a severe infection that could not be cured. He died in Havana, Cuba, at age 47. His search for the Fountain of Youth, although unsuccessful, contributed to Spanish mapping and colonization in North America. The legend of the Fountain of Youth continues to live in Western culture for centuries after his death and became an important part of European exploration stories in the New World. 8. Elizabeth Báthory. Elizabeth Báthory was born on the 7th of August, 1560 at Észéd Castle, Kingdom of Hungary. She came from a very influential Protestant noble family, the Báthory dynasty. Her uncle was Stephen Báthory, King of Poland and Prince of Transylvania. At age 15, she married Count Ferenc Nysty and received Ifti Taverntis Castle as a wedding gift. While her husband went to war against the Ottomans, Elizabeth managed the vast family territories herself. After her husband died in 1604, she became a very wealthy widow. Between 1590 and 1610, accusations emerged that she was involved in torture and murder of many young girls from servant and peasant classes. In December 1610, Palatine Jurgi III led a raid to Ferdi Octis Castle and found severely injured girls and corpses. The January 1611 trial involved more than 300 witnesses. The main accusation was murder of dozens to hundreds of girls. Elizabeth was not tried due to her noble status and was immediately imprisoned in Ferdi Octis Castle with windows walled shut. She died on the 21st of August, 1614 at age 54. The legend of bathing in virgin blood appeared later in 1729 and was not recorded in the original trial. 9. Isaac Newton. For centuries in Europe, alchemists tried to create the philosopher's stone, a substance believed to turn base metals into gold and grant immortality. Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientists in history, was also very interested in alchemy. He wrote thousands of pages of alchemical notes that were only discovered and studied in the 20th century. Newton experimented intensely with mercury and various chemicals in his private laboratory for years. He often inhaled dangerous mercury vapors. His secret notes show that he spent more time on alchemy compared to physics and mathematics studies in some periods of his life. Many other alchemists in Europe experienced laboratory accidents, severe chemical poisoning, or explosions while trying various potions. This alchemical practice eventually influenced the development of modern chemistry, although the main goal of achieving immortality was never reached. Newton experienced health disorders in his later life suspected to be from long-term mercury exposure. Thousands of pages of his notes prove how serious the great scientists of that time were in pursuing the dream of immortality through alchemy. 10. Chinese alchemists. In the 9th century during the Tang dynasty in China, Taoist alchemists were conducting experiments to create an elixir of immortality. They mixed saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal in various different proportions. One day, the mixture exploded violently and burned down the entire alchemical laboratory. The alchemists completely failed in creating the elixir of immortality, but accidentally they discovered gunpowder. This discovery was then further developed into firearms, rockets, and explosives. Gunpowder changed the way of war throughout the world for the following centuries. From China, this technology spread to the Middle East through the Silk Road and then to Europe. The alchemists originally only sought potions for immortality, but their experimental results instead created the most influential weapon in human military history. This discovery also paved the way for the development of modern explosive and artillery technology. Many Chinese historical records note that alchemists continued to try the same potion variations, despite often experiencing explosions and accidents in their laboratories.